Welcome to my very first YouTube video, and for the very first YouTube video, I really wanted to kind of make a ranking or like a Spotify Wrapped of all the cars, well, most of the cars that I reviewed this year in order to compile them all together like a video spreadsheet. So let's do it. Before we get into that, I just want to give a massive thank you to everyone that has followed me and supported me throughout my 9-month journey, because I only started doing this in March. And it has just been the most wildest, craziest life experiences, meeting a lot of you guys, meeting really cool, amazing people that I now consider my close friends, and just being surrounded by cars that I absolutely love and adore. And my favorite part is just creating videos and educating you guys, teaching you guys, showing you things that you might have not known. And while doing that, I also learn a lot of things that I might have not known. And with that out of the way, let's get straight into it. For this, I think I need my glasses because I feel like I'm almost literally blind. From 9 months ago, the very first car that I reviewed was a Porsche 991T from 1969, and since then I've reviewed a total of 84 cars from 28 brands, and the brand that I've reviewed the most amount of cars from is Porsche, with a total of 17 different models, and this ranges from a lot of different 911s, from the 964s, 993s, 997s, 991s, and the second most popular brand was BMW with 12 models being reviewed, and the third was Mercedes-Benz with 11 models being reviewed. I'm actually quite surprised by the Porsche being the most popular model because there aren't that many Porsche models to choose from. There's a Macan, there's a Cayenne, Panamera. However, the majority of the models that I've actually reviewed have just been a lot of 911s. One of my favorite Porsches that I reviewed this year include the Porsche 911 police car that was used by the Dutch police force. The Dutch police force use a lot of Porsche models, including the Porsche 356 all the way back in the 50s and the 60s, all the way to the Porsche 964 in 1992, 1993, and fun fact, they were all convertibles or Targa so that the officers can stand or sit on the seats and direct traffic from behind the car with the roof open. Some other Porsche models that I desperately want to review include the Porsche 959, the Porsche 981 Spider, and the Porsche Cayenne GTS with a manual transmission, which is incredibly hard to get. Oh, and also the Porsche Panamera Executive, which is this long wheelbase version of the Panamera, which almost no one ever got, because who wants a long wheelbase Panamera when you can just get an S-Class or a 7 Series instead? With that out of the way, this then leads on to the most popular country or region of where the cars are from. And considering most of the cars that are reviewed is either Porsche, Mercedes-Benz, or BMW, we can quite comfortably assume that most of the cars that are reviewed are German. So this concludes 46 German cars, 14 British cars, 11 Italian cars, 4 Japanese cars, 4 American cars, and 3 French cars. And of course, there's some other countries in the mix, such as 2 cars from Sweden, including a Saab 9.5 Sport Combi and the Volvo S80 V8. Now let's talk about the most common decade or era of the reviewed cars. So the most common decade of the reviewed cars was between 2000 to 2010 with a total of 25 cars. The next most common decade was the 19s with around 18 cars, which means that over 50% of the cars that I've reviewed sit between 1990 all the way into 2010, which is exactly the spot of the cars that I really want to review. A lot of you guys really enjoy the cars that I review between these decades, between the 90s all the way into the 2010s, as lots of these cars have lots of really interesting features, and this was also when the cars were just a lot more back to basics. No screens, no touchscreens, no crazy technology. It was just a lot of different really put buttons and switches that were in places that were not supposed to be. That didn't make too much sense. Ferrari, I'm calling you out. But I absolutely love to show cars from this era, as there's not that much information out there on these cars because not that many people cover them. So that is my job, wanting to give you guys a more in-depth, a better understanding of these cars that not that many people see and are just not as covered. Besides this, I've also added a few little extra weird other criteria because I'm just like, why not? Which include the most popular or common color of the reviewed cars and the most popular body style of cars. The most popular or common color of the reviewed cars is, unfortunately, you guessed it, black. I reviewed 21 black cars, and some of the other common colors include 16 silver cars, 10 white cars, and 6 gray cars. I feel like this is a bit of a shame because manufacturers are not offering these colors, and when they are offering these colors, they are charging 4, 3, 5 grand just for these special colors, and Porsche charging 9 to 10 grand for a PTS color, paint to sample, or how some other people call it, a paint to sell, because people tend to lean more towards the safer choice, which is black silver. It's totally understandable. If you want to sell your car again, it's better to just go for a safer color. However, I would say maybe, I don't know, go for a blue, go for a darker red, go for a green if they offer it. I just think that people need to get some more interesting colors out there. Feels like such a controversial opinion, but I think a lot of people also agree with my point. Now, the most popular body style of cars is, of course, coupes. Coupes. I'm going to call them coupes. I'm going to stand by my point. I'm going to call them coupes. I've reviewed 34 coupes, which include cars like the Maybach 57S Coupe, the Ferrari 250 GT short wheelbase, and a bunch of Porsche 911s. I've also covered 22 cabriolets, cabrios, convertibles, 17 sedans, 6 SUVs, and 3 station wagons or estates. Now, with that out of the way, let's actually rank them. So the first ranking will be the most expensive car and the cheapest car. And for this, I want to list the list price of the car when it came out of the factory, when brand new, and the most expensive car was the Bugatti Chiron Supersport. This was an absolutely insane experience, and this Bugatti Chiron Supersport cost $4.6 million. It looked absolutely beautiful with a black exterior and a stunning orange interior, and this was not the 300 plus that would go over 300 miles an hour, but this still did 273 miles an hour. And the cheapest car would have to be the Renault Twizy, which is one of my all-time favorite cars, a car that I'm so desperate to own. And this started at between £7,000 to £9,000 when new in 2011 to 2012. Now that you know the most expensive and the cheapest car that I reviewed, let's talk about the rarest car that I reviewed. And for this criteria, I'm not going to include any coach builds or special editions, which means that the 1 of 11 Bentley Turbo R Val d'Isere does not count, the 1 of 8 Maybach 57S by Zenitech does not count, and the 1 of 1 Range Rover Adventon Coupe also does not count. I want these to be actual production models that were not intended to be special edition or coach built models. So like the Mercedes R63 with around 200 being made, there's something that's even rarer than that, which I'm going to share, which is actually the Saab 9.5 Sport Combi with only 35 models ever being produced. And the funny fact is that 7 of them were pre-production models, which were then auctioned off for actual customers or Saab lovers, enthusiasts to buy. This was an insanely rare car that you'll probably never ever see, which I'll probably never ever see again. This is rarer than a Porsche 918, rarer than a Ferrari LaFerrari. It was randomly parked on the street outside of Amsterdam, and I just happened to stumble upon it, and I'm like, wow, this is so tremendously rare. It's a station wagon. You know, it's a family car that it's nothing too insane or out there. You will probably pass one, you will probably not know what it is, but you will, well, hopefully by watching this, you will know that it is one of the rarest production cars ever to be made, and it's a regular 5-seat family station wagon. Now onto the car that surprised me the most. This is a criteria that I made that I was like, it's a car that I did not necessarily want to review that badly going into it, but once I got my hands on it, once I actually started learning about it, I was like, whoa, this is wild. This is so unexpected. It's not like anything I've ever seen before. It was completely unexpected, basically. So I was surprised. Yeah, literal definition of being surprised by a car. So this is the car that I'm most surprised by. And the car, of course, that surprised me the most was the Toyota Century. It was such an insane car that I just did not know was so fascinating. You have the door in the seat that you can put your leg through. You have the magnetic key holder so it doesn't jingle around. You have an ostrich feather duster. You have the doilies on top of the seats. You have cloth seats that were more expensive than the leather seats because they were quieter and they were also cooler during the summer. This car was just so ahead of its time. It was one of the first cars to have like a fully functioning touchscreen all the way back in 1997. It was this. I was bewildered, flabbergasted, fumbled. It was special car. It was truly a special car. And it was so funny because the owner of the car, he lived all the way in the north of England. I lived in London, and we basically met in the middle in Birmingham in a random parking lot to film this car. I filmed 4 videos on that, and I assume you guys absolutely loved it because that car in total with all the videos combined got around 40 million views, which is insane. Like 40 million people have seen that car on my channels, which again is such a huge number to wrap my head around. But that car surprised me beyond belief. It was such a special car. The owner is so lovely. It was just, and it sounded amazing. The next criteria is going to be the car that gave me the most emotional value, or the car that I was most excited about reviewing. And it's not the Bugatti Chiron, it's not the Aston Martin Valkyrie. Great cars they are, but there's something that gave me even more emotional value, and that is Nathaniel's Ford Crown Victoria New York Taxi. You guys have absolutely no idea just how excited I was going to review this car. I had planned to review that car 2 weeks before going to New York because I had seen the Ford Crown Vic over on Regular Car Reviews YouTube channel. So I DM'd Nathaniel, he said yes, and I got reviewing. And you guys have, again, you have absolutely no idea just how much I absolutely love this car. It exceeded my expectations. It was everything I wanted it to be. Big, plushy, soft suspension, nice horn, big yellow cab. It was the long wheelbase as well, because all New York Ford Crown Vics, they were the longer wheelbase rather than the standard wheelbase used on the police cars and the civilian versions. And again, I was just so happy. You guys have truly no idea how happy I was. Every time my mom went to New York when I was a little kid, she would always bring back a taxi, and I was like, no, it cannot be a Checkers cab, it cannot be a Chevy Caprice, it cannot be a Ford Escape, it needs to be a Ford Crown Victoria, or else I'm not having that toy. I sound like a little spoiled kid. But again, I just had so much emotional value with a Ford Crown Victoria taxi that I was like, I need to review one. And mission accomplished, dream achieved. The whole trip was complete. I reviewed exactly what I wanted to review. The next criteria is actually suggested by one of my followers, which is best bang for buck car. So this is the car that gives you almost everything for the least amount of money possible. And this has to be the Mercedes R63 AMG. This is a 6-seat minivan. It is a minivan. It doesn't have the sliding doors, but I'm still going to call it a minivan or an MPV. However, Mercedes wants me to call it a Grand Sport Tourer. And it's got a big hand-built 6.2 liter, not a 6.3 liter, a 6.2 liter V8 making around 510 horsepower. It does 0 to 60 in around 4.5 seconds, got a top speed of 155 miles an hour. It can shuttle you and your family on the Autobahn in pure comfort with its magic air suspension and a panoramic roof. There's heated seats in the front and in the back. There's TV screens in the back. There's lots of space when you put the third row of seats down. This car, and they're starting between 30 to over 50,000 euros, which are some of the models that you can find now. It's also extremely understated and extremely rare. They made less than 200 of these for the entire world, so no one really knows what it is. So it's super incognito, it's super fast, you can carry your whole family. It goes between 30 to 50,000 euros, which is the price of a BMW X3. So yeah, this is the best bang for buck car that you can possibly get, in my opinion. The next criteria is also suggested by one of my followers, and this is the strangest feature or the most interesting feature that I found on a car. I've rounded a few up, but it is not the turn indicators on the Mercedes 190 SL, which is on the steering wheel. It's not the neon turn indicators that you find on the BMW Z8. It's not the sliding doors that go up and down on the BMW Z1. And it's also not the mirror in the glove box on the Ferrari Testarossa when it should be in the sun visor. The most interesting or the strangest feature that I found in a car was the intercom system on the Maybach 57 or the 57S, optional extra. This was a little walkie-talkie device thing that you found in the glove box, which you can change the channels on. And one of the channels was that you could either speak into it and then your voice will be projected out of the car so that people outside of the car can hear you from inside the car. And when you switch the channel to another one, people from outside of the car can speak in their normal voice, and their voice will be projected through the speakers inside the car so that you never have to lower or raise your window in order to speak to whoever is inside or outside the car. I guess the whole point was because Maybach, very prestigious car, lots of dignitaries, lots of politicians, lots of famous people don't necessarily want the outside hoi pollois to know who is inside the car, and that's why you have the intercom system, so that whoever's inside the car can remain very incognito. That's how you say it. Incognito. And that is all for my summary and rankings of 2023. It's been an absolutely insane year with some insanely cool cars that I've just especially the New York Taxi. I've gotten to meet a lot of you guys, and I am forever thankful for this journey and for all the cars that I reviewed. I just want to say, again, a massive thank you to everyone who's been supporting me. And again, if you held it this far, thank you for watching this YouTube video. I really, really appreciate it. Truly, I really appreciate it. I have some huge things planned for YouTube, and I really just cannot wait to start this journey. I think it'll be super fun. I can't wait. I cannot wait. And if you do not like supercars, classic cars, and really interesting cars, then please do not subscribe to my channel. I guess I have to start saying subscribe and like and comment on things because that's what everyone else does. I don't know, but yes, if you do not like to see these kinds of cars, then please do not subscribe to me. Thank you.